Greetings, folks. Welcome back to the Jason Damico Show. We're keeping it rolling here with our Zoom virtual world COVID-19 sessions, and we're just trying to make the best of it. Another cat through Instagram DM, and another guy really talented out in the Texas area, Central Time Zone. You may have seen him on Instagram with some of the ads he's been putting out lately. Really cool stuff. Had to have him on. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Mr. Mike Garza. It's good to have you here, man.
Hey, guys. How's it going? The audience cheers.
Yeah. So the real cool thing about Mike is it's like he's got 4 hemispheres in his brain, not 2.
Yeah.
Because what I saw was pretty wild. Playing drums at the same time with guitar. Just playing melody, playing rhythm, hitting all of the different aspects of the drum kit. When he calls himself Guitrum Hero,
Yeah.
it's literally
like Guitar Hero, but Guitrum. Put the guitar and the drum, splice it together, Guitrum.
So I gotta ask you, man. I mean, I've seen people do this before, but the way you do it is it's a whole other notch of excellence. How did you get into this? How did you stumble upon doing it? Like I gotta, because I'm a multi-instrumentalist myself, but it's just
What do you play?
Well, guitar, drums, bass, keyboard, harmonica. I sing, but doing it all at the same time, man. That's something else.
Yeah, for sure. So the story of how it started, how I came across it, or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so check this out. So everyone thinks, well, there's a tendency to think you see me playing guitar, drums at the same time. You're like, oh, this guy's a musician. He's been doing it forever. Brother just walked in.
Yeah.
But no, it really. So I went to school for science. So I got my master's in science. So I'm actually a scientist, not a musician. And get this. So the class that I taught so I was a professor for about a year at UTSA, right? So I'm teaching science there. And the class I taught, it was called neuromotor learning. So it's basically the process of how the brain learns new skills, right? So God forbid you get in an accident, okay? You're going through therapy. How do you, learn how to walk again? And so neuromotor learning is like the study of how the brain learns. That way we can go in there. Because, the fastest way to a point is just like a straight line, just right? We just want to get there ASAP. So that's kind of like my background. I quit teaching. I wanted to write this book. The book is intense. It's like about evolution, the Bible, Christianity, all these crazy things. So during that time, I would take a break, right? Just to kind of rest my mind. And I would just pick up the guitar. And it was actually this guitar right here. So I'd pick this guitar up on my spare time and I just sit down and, just like, I'm just playing a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So one day I sat down at the drum set. I didn't have my chair. I don't know. I moved to a different room or whatever. So I sat down at the drum set and I'm there playing the guitar and the hi-hat's right there, So, and naturally, this yourself, if we're already musicians, you're strumming and we have a natural tendency to keep time with our feet, right?
Right.
But that was the first step, is putting the hi-hat in there. And then, one thing leads to another. The next step was putting the bass drum in. And then now here comes the crossroads, because now we have the snare. But the predicament is we got our hand on, fretting over here.
Yeah.
We got strumming. So, at first it started something like this. Like I would like hit something like a pa, pa. So it was like not a sustainable type of thing, or at the same time, right? But then I started adding it. Then I got a stick in my hand. I experimented with different ways. So I kind of like I hold the stick kind of like that, and it allows me some motion. So I can kind of like, on the downstrokes, I can even like hit the snare drum and the drum at the same time. So I just started really, and of course, if you want to get fancy with it, you mesh it together. Timing is the most important part. So practicing with a metronome was like really important to having the hi-hat, the bass, the strum, everything on the beat.
On the dot. Yeah.
On the dot.
I mean, so this is just fascinating to me. This is crazy. What was the hardest part of this for you? Was it more of putting it together? Was it more of getting everything in sync, or was it just making sure things were hitting at the right time? if that makes any sense.
No, that perfect sense, because it's all about everything hitting at the right time. Otherwise, it sounds, and I've listened to this, so I would record myself, and I'm like, man, everything's good, okay, but the strum, whenever the guitar strumming and the snare drum is hitting, it was just, I noticed that it's not as tight. It's just like a slight millisecond off, but you can hear it, and that's what, if you play that, you know, in a car for your friends and be like, hey guys, how many people are playing? They're gonna be like, oh, there's 2 people playing, but you know, they're just not quite on, you know. And so that's that's the problem I had to fix. And I did I think I did a great job of fixing that. Now here's another thing that kind of sets my style apart is the crash cymbal. So have you seen it on the floor?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that is the game changer right there, because everybody else that I've seen do this type of thing, they don't have that. And I'm like,
you move your left foot over for that, right? You've got it on a mallet.
Yeah.
It's kind of, did you ever see back in the Beatles day, like the old Beatles, like 1964 era, Ringo had a cowbell and he'd have it like on his left foot. And it was similar to that, where you move your left foot over from the hi-hat.
On his left foot?
He had a mallet for it, but it was the same thing where you would literally move your left foot over like you're doing with the crash. He would do it on the cowbell on like Hard Day's Night or something. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll see if I can find a link.
I have that exact thing. And the thing is, Motley Crue, I'm looking for songs that have a lot of cowbell in, like those.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
Because I want to jump to those.
You gotta do some Blue Oyster Cult. You gotta do the cowbell challenge on TikTok right now, because you're on TikTok. You gotta get your belly all out with the cut off shirt like Will Ferrell.
Is that a thing going on right now?
It is, yeah.
Tag me.
I'll follow you on TikTok, and then I'll find those like hashtags and make sure you see what they're doing. Okay. Yeah, because it's like this new trend right now in the last couple of days.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah, but anyway, not to cut you off, but yes, so your crash is there, and that was one of the main things that I saw that was different from you compared to everybody else is trying to do this, because I never saw it like a full kit. Like you've literally got
like that's what I wanted to get, and that was the whole aim. Like starting out, I wanted, when people see this, I want to be like, oh, but you know.
Right.
It's just not the real thing, or you know, I want it to be the real thing. Like I want fills going in. I want solos and lead parts going in, because, and here's the thing, you know, maybe you know you're familiar with this too, being on social media and all that. You'll get all these good comments and they're all inspiring, right? And then you get that one person that just kind of the negative comment.
Yeah.
Which one do you remember? All the 99,000 good ones, or that one?
What was that bad one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I remember that, and what's unique about this is you already know, if you put your stuff out there, you're gonna get a lot of haters. Like advertising.
Oh yeah, man.
If you look at the comment section in the ads, it's all haters. It's like 50%, because people were like, "You're interrupting my feed," and
right.
Out here. It's like, dude, what's up? But if you go look at my stuff and go look at all the comments and try to search for negative ones, you'll count 2 or 3, and I remember them exactly. And this was early on too, so I got excited because I was able to play my first couple of things on the full kit, the drums, guitar, all that. So immediately I want to show people, right? So I put it on there and I let it go. And it was just a simple rhythm part on both drums and guitar. I think it was, what was that? Smoke on the Water, right? So
yeah.
Like that. So I did that. And then somebody was like, of course the timing issue was not exactly on point, like we just said, right? Because remember this, when I just started, and that one comment that I remember, it was like, "Oh, this is the dumbest concept ever." Like, now I'm quoting it, and you're gonna go find that. You're gonna laugh, because that guy really did remember everything. So he's like, "I'd rather this is the worst concept ever. I'd rather be good at one instrument than be mediocre at both." Or that's what he said. And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "I see the point. I see the logic." But here's what that dude did not understand. And here's what I've learned too over this past whole year of doing this is, when you put in, it goes back to what I taught in college, right? Mm-hmm. So when you put these 2 instruments together, there's this process that's going on in your head. It's called neuroplasticity. I don't know if you've heard of it before. So you're actually forging new brain connection, new
fibers,
cells, exactly.
Yeah, new wiring.
Exactly. That's the word. It's new wiring. So if you think about it, your brain only has you only have 100% of focus that you could kind of like put into something, right? So let's say you're driving. You're either 100% you're driving or you're on the phone, in which case now your brain is split between driving and being on the phone.
Yeah.
And if you're driving, talking on the phone, and eating, it's split even more so, right?
Woo!
Okay, right?
Yeah, that's nuts, man.
Yeah.
And
So
I know everybody's done it before, unfortunately.
exactly.
But
Everyone's done it. If you're out there, don't be judging us. You've done it too. So here's the whole takeaway point with that. When you stop, when you're not eating and when you're not talking on the phone, you're just a way better driver, right?
Right.
So when you're not playing guitar and drums together at the same time, and you go off to your guitar or you go off to your drums, that now instead of your brain being split 50-50 on, you know, playing guitar and drums at the same time, you're like strumming and drumming, right? Now you take the drumstick off and you're so much more focused in. And what I've noticed is there's this percussive nature of the drums carrying into like my guitar playing, like I can play drums through my just, I don't know, it's so weird. Like my strumming, my rhythm, everything is like there. It's on point. Everything's better. Why? Because my brain is like doing all these crazy things when I'm doing them together, that when I do them separately, I'm so much better than I was before. So think of it as weight training for
your brain.
Musicians. Yeah, exactly. So
it's interesting because I always remember struggling for the longest time with singing and playing simultaneously. And this was back, you know, I think everybody hits that place at some point in their musical career, because, you know, I've been in the game for almost, over 20 years now. I'm 26, but I started playing when I was 4, and even before that. So when I was like 12, 13 years old, I started really trying to sing and play at the same time, like guitar and vocal.
Yeah.
I was a drummer first, so I was always kind of like singing and playing drums at the same time. But I remember during that process, there were certain things. I mean, it was like 6 months of just like grinding it out. Like I'd have to stop. Something would get out of sync. There'd be something wrong. You know what I mean? Then it turned into this thing where I actually started singing better when I was playing, because it was like part of my brain would just shut off, and it became like this feel thing. It became this, and you could probably put it into more legit terminology.
Yeah, your brain
I've got a business degree, and my mom's a nurse, so you know that's I get all of my medical terminology from her. But nonetheless, it's like there are some things vocally that are just easier to do when you're live and in front of people, and that part of your brain is just off and the muscles relax. And same thing like with guitar. It's like, I don't know, sometimes playing and singing at the same time is easier, and then some things are easier when they are separate. But doing both at the same time made me a better singer, maybe a better player, and then playing multiple instruments, it does make you think in different ways for the other instruments that are
like exactly.
Yeah.
Now, so let's say, so there's this drummer. You said you started out on drums, right?
Yeah.
So you have this one world type of, you know, where you're just playing drums, but now you transition into guitar, right? So now you know the strumming parts and you know what's going on and you're familiar with it and all that, right? So what does that do to you as a drummer? You understand the guitarist now.
Yeah.
So that helps you play a lot better.
Yes.
So even like with if the guitarist is doing a lead part on the drums, you can kind of articulate your feels to kind of complement that accent in different ways, you know? So that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, even, you know, producing music, because Bob Rock's one of my all-time.
You're a producer too?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. I'll show you the studio after we're done here. Yeah. Bob Rock's one of my all-time favorites. So when you talk about Motley Crue and Metallica, you know, the reason why Enter Sandman really grabbed me when your version of it is because I know that record inside and out. I've listened to it 1,000 times. It's inspired me the most from a sonic landscape point of view, and the way Bob made that record sound with Lars and James co-producing.
Sounds so good.
It's like, dude, come on, man. It's like insane. So when I heard you play it, it's like, it literally sounds, the parts are there, the the inflection,
crash on one.
yeah, like all of that, you know, just and even the subtleties.
Yeah.
So it was cool. But anyway, I bring that up because even in the producing world as well, being able to play multiple instruments.
Oh, that helps out big time. Yeah.
Yeah, because you understand the nature of the beasts per
Exactly.
se, you know, and they all have their different natures.
Yep. And we
Yeah.
can put, you take all those natures and you combine them into one mega habitat, you know, environment, just musical environment. This is great. Everything clicks.
Who are some of your influences prior to this, besides the ones that we kind of talked about so far?
Let's see influences, and that's the thing. Like so everybody, I always hear musicians talking about influences, and I'll tell you this: Linkin Park for sure. That is gonna be hands down, because I remember exactly when they came out with their first album. I remember hearing "In the End." You remember that? It was right around. That's when I got my first guitar. So, and I was like, that's such a unique sound, and I like the way they combined just rock and rap and just different types of things, and that heavy sound, it was just awesome. So I want to say them. Who else? For sure Slash, like Guns N' Roses, that type of thing. I remember as a kid hearing you know, my dad was really into 80s rock. I mean, that's his era. He grew up there, and he would always talk about the concerts. And I remember that one time I heard that the Sweet Child of Mine, you know, as a little kid, you hear that and I'm like, it just catches your attention. You're like, that's different, but that sounds really cool, you know?
Rock.
And that, exactly. So you're 5, 6, 7 years old. You're like, all right, that's what's up. But other than that, influences, I don't really have too many. Of course, like the Metallica one we're talking about, but other than that, yeah, I'm limited in that area.
What would you say is the hardest part of this journey that you're on right now, if you had to say?
Hardest part? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to let you in on two of the big, you know, I guess, challenges. So one was the recording aspect, both video and audio.
Yeah.
So, and I got to a point where I was like, you know what? Because my whole thing was like, I'd rather spend my time practicing, right?
Right.
Because later on you can hire, you know, get someone to specialize in video to do your video.
Yep.
Specialize in audio, do your audio, and then specialize in what you do, right? So that's what I want to do. But the thing is, I mean, I really didn't know anyone, and so that was hard. So I want to do myself.
And it costs, you know, it costs.
Yeah, it does. So right now I do have a sound engineer, and he was trained by this Grammy-nominated dude. So that's awesome.
That's great.
Amazing. That he just blew my mind when he came here and just showed me, you know, I think he brought like, what was it, like a Behringer, the X32, right?
Yeah.
And he showed me all the crazy awesome things he could do with it. He made everything equalized. I had, you know, I was monitoring myself. The drum sounded amazing. I was like, dude, I would be practicing 24 hours a day if, you know?
Right.
So that kind of worked out. But that challenge I had, I mean, this is already a year and a half. I was like, okay, how do I record the drums and guitar at the same time? Because of course, you know, I bleed and all that. So that was just really frustrating. I experimented with multiple ways, plugging in like the 11 rack. So it's, I think I use, what is it called? SPDIF, something like that.
Yeah.
And it just goes straight to my headphones and I'm hearing my guitar. And then of course the drums are mic'd up. So that's
so it's all, the guitar is all line in then, right? Kind of virtual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, the thing, what I notice now is I don't like that, because first I don't have that same responsiveness. Like when I have like the amp right there, the drums.
Not the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same. And so now I'm just trying to figure it out. Like, how do I do this? I've invested in like really expensive mics, a good little, I think it's like a 5 watt and a 1 watt head, just because you want to have it cranked up inside, but you can't have a 100 watt tube head in your face, it'll blow your face off. So I've been experimenting with different ways, and I'm getting there. I think it's going to be good. These next videos are going to be awesome. And finally, I'm starting YouTube. So.
Oh, cool, man. Awesome. Well, yeah. What do you have in the works right now that you are
working on? So I'm working on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want you giving all the tricks away, but what do you have coming up next?
Okay, so coming up next, as far as I'm working on a course. So this course, it's meant to take people from guitar zero and turn them into Guitrum hero within like 8 weeks. So somebody that doesn't even know guitar at all or drums. And I came up with this kind of cool way of teaching that. I call it the 1 finger method. So basically all it is, because picture the whole, if someone doesn't know either or both instruments, right? I mean, having to teach them how to finger, a D chord or a G, that's just, whatever. So what I do instead, oh, my pick was in there.
Dude, I love that pick, by the way. That thing is cool, man. That's a nice Fender pick.
Appreciate it. So what I'll do is you just detune it, and now check this out. So if you can just tap your left foot, and I tell this to everyone, I don't care who you are, a lawyer, a doctor, a janitor, a teacher, whatever. I can teach you how to play guitar and drums at the same time. All you got to do, check this out. So count to 4, and you're just tapping 1, 2, 3, 4 with your left foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, consistent. On ones, clap. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. If you can do that, you're already playing like an awesome intro. You go to the drum set and you start putting your hi-hat there, and you just let this chord like ring. Instead of clapping, you're just like, or like, so
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
you're already started.
You're already in there. All it is just slowly putting everything else in. So I'm working on that course, and as far as video wise, now the covers I'm going to be doing, another thing I worked on is my right foot. With drumming, you got your double bass pedal. Drumming, you don't. You got to have some type of hi-hat going, but you got your hands with the guitar.
Right.
So I was like, man, in order to make this really work and really be able to be flexible and play all these type of, cool songs, fast songs across different genres, I got to develop a super beast right foot and just have to go off on the bass whenever I wanted to, right? So that's what I've been working on the past 3-4 months. And I'll tell you, it's enabled me to play some pretty crazy stuff that I have not put out there yet.
Wow.
So now we're going to be doing solos on both drums and guitar, like same time.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'll start off a song with some strums and then like just go everywhere like on the drums, right? Keep that going. And then that'll be looped, that simple, rhythm section. And then once I get down, I'll pretty much solo over it with a simple, back and forth drum beat. Because the drums and guitar don't solo at the same time. So that's awesome.
Knowing you might be able to find a way to do it without a loop pedal. It's just crazy. Do you have any so we'll bring up COVID for a second. Obviously, this is changing the game for a lot of folks. It doesn't really matter what industry you're in. At the same time, though, it's kind of expedited the process of synergy and bringing people together. We probably wouldn't have we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now if it wasn't for that, because
that's a good point.
Quite honestly, I was supposed to be on tour right now. Who knows what you would have been doing?
Yeah.
Probably would have been something else than just sitting at home as much as we are. So what are your thoughts on kind of the next phase of this, and if it happens again, how do you think industries in general are going to respond
in terms of if we're faced with like maybe another outbreak or pandemic?
Well, because a lot of them are talking about a resurgence of this, and you're in the medical field. You have
that's a
some
big
sort
possibility. And the new research that just came out, we're kind of counting on, the season will change because, you got flu season with cold months. So once you get warmer weather, the hope there was that this will slow the transmission rate of the virus, right?
Right.
Now, the new data that came out today says that's kind of not the case. So scientists are already saying, listen, we can't really count on that. So my whole thing with this is I'm pretty much way more worried about the economy than this type of virus. My only worry with this, with something like this, is that if it mutates to become more lethal, that's just because you got a virus that's highly transmissible, or it's super contagious, right?
Right.
And we know the death rate with this one is not as high as it could be. I mean, you're talking about Ebola, that's a 50% death rate. So, 1 out of 2 people get it, one's dying.
Is this 1% right now?
It's around there. And of course, it's really hard. I'll tell you this, in the research world, there's so much data that's coming from everywhere, and you can't really rely on it all, because there's also there's different methods. Like, for instance, someone was trying to study how long the asymptomatic cases, or whether or not to include those in the overall total. So there's all these weird data things so it's around 1%. That's what we can say, give or take, another 0.5% going up or down, plus or minus, right?
Right.
Yeah, the economy is one thing that I am definitely worried about. I've been worried about it for a long time, actually, ever since '07. So
Yeah,
it's
for
because it's not
sure.
sustainable. We're talking about trillions of dollars in debt, and it's always
Well,
going
it
up.
happened immediately.
And
I
yeah, oh
literally,
yeah,
literally at the sign of a pen, sign on a
exactly.
dotted line.
And the big problem with the debt that we have is, money is just paper right now. Ever since, I don't know if it was in 1981 or 87 that we got off the gold
The
standard.
gold standard.
Okay, so now, ever since then, it's like it's a ticking time bomb, is what it is. And everybody thought that '07, '08 was like the big one. Then we bailed out the banks. Everybody's pissed about that, right?
Right.
But if you look at the situation and the debt around then, it was only 16, 17 trillion, or only. But it was, now we're talking about 22, 23, 24. Like who knows? Because like you said, at the sign of a pen, we just went up another two more trillion. But like I said, this is just coming out of thin air. It's not like gold or a tangible type of thing. It's like the trust that we put in that little paper. So
And I think the only reason why things have been put down to a halt is because simply if there wasn't the practicing of social distancing and trying to contain
oh
what's already
yeah,
exacerbated, it's mainly because they're saying it would have affected millions, it
no,
would have
that's
been
that's
fatal,
exactly
right?
right.
Millions of fatalities. So I think that's why people are really being serious about it, because when you look at flu, just like common cold, flu, fevers, whatever, there are a couple 100,000 folks that die per year with that, or seasonal. But this just has the capacity to mutate, like you said earlier, into a whole different animal.
Oh yeah, it really does.
You know, but I'm very concerned about the economy as well, the service industry for sure. I mean, as far as like musicians, entertainment, I have no idea where that's going to go. Besides
Yeah,
forcing us to be in Web 2.0 worlds like we are now, but even beyond that, are venue owners going to open up again? Are certain venues going to reopen? How are live events going to be handled? You know,
exactly. So and to go along the lines of what you're saying, um, of course, the process of making a course or to teach people something, I mean, you just want to add as much value as you can, right?
right?
So with this course that I'm coming out with to teach people to, go from, guitar zero to Guitrum hero, if you already know how to play an instrument, you're already gigging, awesome, then you'll catch on even quicker.
Yeah,
And the hope here is, we just talked about right now how we're facing a very real change in terms of uh, how music business goes on, right? How
right.
gigs happen. Maybe they'll be more scarce. I don't know. And of course,
Mm.
even without all this, being a musician, it's very, I guess, what do you call it? Competitive, maybe, right? I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of people, I would say, are trying to get the same gig. Would you not say, right?
Well, yeah, for sure. For sure. And this is just going to make things even more complicated, you know?
Exactly. Now,
Yeah.
think of this. Let's just say um, you're trying to get a gig somewhere. And I don't know how it works because, like I said, I really haven't gigged much. Um, but you go to the guy, whoever's in charge, just like every other band, I assume would go. And you say, look, I can play the guitar and drums at the same time. I can sing. I can do everything. All the people at your place, at this venue or whatever, they're going to look at me. They're going to be like, that's different. I've never seen that. He sounds good. What the heck, So now if you're an artist, you're a musician, and you learn how to play guitar and drums at the same time, right? Think about how much value that is going to add to whatever you're trying to do.
Right.
And the thing is, this can be a for fun type of thing. This doesn't have to be like you're going to be serious and putting out music, or like you can gig out if you want. Like you said, once you start seeing me put these videos out, you can be like, man, that's possible, because everything's possible, Why do
Yeah.
we set limits, mental limits? So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
that,
and
that
it's funny that you bring that up. For example, just to put more just to make your point more prominent. Uh, I've always, for whatever reason, with harmonica, I always kind of struggled with figuring out the blues harmonica thing. And I literally, just in this quarantine, I picked it up, and just started going at it, and I was like, wait a minute. And I figured it out. Like, so I don't know. It's just this weird creativity.
I love it when
spontaneity.
things click like that.
Yeah, it was like I've tried it out for years, and it wasn't like I was on it every day. I mean, I picked the thing up maybe once every couple of months and just like get discouraged in 15 minutes. This is a guy who's put in 10,000 hours on drums, 10,000 hours on guitar over 15, 20 years. And harmonica is like, come on, man. No, there's a real
there are no strings involved. There are no
multi. There's a real skill there, and somehow something clicked, and at least now I can actually kind of do what I'm hearing in my head. I have
that's the ultimate goal right there is what you hear in your head. Let's make this manifest it, you know?
Yeah. So I'm just at the tip of the iceberg, but again, like those new skills,
they're gonna help. They're gonna help you. I'm telling you, this will help every musician. Like I said, I don't even care if you're Slash. I mean, get behind the drum set, learn it, and I guarantee you that's gonna spark creativity that you didn't have before. And not only that, when you get off it, like I said, you're gonna approach the guitar a different way. I promise you. And why I can promise you is because it happened to me, and this is something that was not even expected. You know, I was just trying to, get good at the guitar and drums, like the Guitrum together, right? That was my whole thing. But I found that when I got off it and I'm just, on either or in, one at a time, I'm like way better. And I'm like, and right away, I knew exactly what it was, right? I was like, okay, so my brain was like learning this. And then now all of a sudden, I get off of it and I have more focus and I'm just more in tune with this one instrument because all my mental energy is going just there and that's it. So
when can we expect the 8-week course to be released?
So we're going to start filming in about 1 week. So
okay.
And I have all the lessons prepared already.
Cool.
So I'm also thinking about doing like a webinar because I came up with these 12, I have them on my phone here too. This is really cool. Just so I don't forget. I try to do things like this every day where like something is really important, like my little screen on my phone, like I'll open it and it's just there, right? So I don't know if you can see this if it zooms out or.
I got you on big screen now. You go ahead and show it one more time. Maybe
I don't know if it
kind of bleached out.
The lighting, I'm trying to. The lighting's messed up. But this is 12. This is the 12 skills or 12 secrets that took me 12 months of just this whole paving the way of Guitrum thing. The 12 most influential or the most important things that I learned. So that was kind of what you asked me earlier. Like, what were some of the challenges? So what I have here is, let's see, the floor cymbal was I have that as number one.
Right.
The floor cymbal was a huge thing because that allows you to really make it like a cohesive instrument, right? Without the floor cymbal, you're not having that crash when you need it, and you're not having that guitar hit when you need it, and it's just So everyone that I've seen do that, that's one thing they're lacking. Another thing was practicing with the metronome, slowing things down.
Yeah, 100%.
So slowing things down is the most important thing in terms of learning something. I say you can learn anything, any song, if the first time if you just slow it down slow enough. Think about that. If you just do, I don't care if it's like 2 beats per minute. Okay, maybe that's too slow, but you will get it. If it's if there's 2 beats per minute, don't miss. You know what I'm saying?
Did you ever hear about the longest? I don't know what it was. It was like the longest piece of music ever played, and I think it went on for, dude, I don't know. I'd have to Google it. It either went on for months or went on for years.
And what was this? The longest?
The longest piece of music ever performed, and it actually took multiple people to do it because one guy would like sit there. Like they had people on rotation.
Don't be feeling. Oh my god!
It was literally like an organ. Like it was literally an organ, and somebody would show up and play one note and hold it down for like an hour, and they had this all like timed, and it was only like 40 bars or 50 or 60 bars of music, but the BPM was like 0.000. It was just stupid. Like one bar was like
a day.
Week. Yeah, it was just like ridiculous. So if you Google it, I remember my drum teacher told me this years ago, like 15 years, my ex-drum teacher, but always your drum teacher, years ago, like 10, 15 years ago, they did it. And it was wild, man. So But anyway, that's what that makes me think of.
That's funny. No, that's what I said. So that the course, I have all these, the 12 most, the secret. One was balance. This is a huge thing.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
Balance.
huge,
Man, oh man.
huge on drums, man. People
this.
don't realize it.
Let's talk about this, please. Okay.
Yeah, no, do please.
Now,
Yeah,
tell
man.
me, I want you, before I go there, I want you to tell me your experience with balance first. And when did you know that? When was it that moment that it clicked in your head that, like, because I don't think, I've never taken drum lessons, so I can't really speak, but I feel like I've never seen this talked about on YouTube with drum lessons.
Well,
Nobody
you know
talks
what?
about balance.
You know what we should do, man? Even besides this, and I'll definitely give you my take on it.
Yeah.
You and I should do a collaborative video on this. Maybe a series on YouTube.
I think a series.
Just a couple of videos and talk about it. We can even meet back up on Zoom or whatever. But that you're right. Not a lot of people have talked about that. And I actually was going to start a double bass. I wasn't going to do anything like for profit. I was literally just going to put out like a couple of videos on YouTube. Like, hey, here's over the years, here are like my struggles. Let me just give you my opinions. Because I've been teaching music for 10 years on the side.
You're pretty good on double bass and all that. Like,
I love doing it. It's like one of those guilty pleasures. And I started it when I was younger. And I'll be honest with you though, man, I had to relearn because I put it down. I wasn't doing a lot of like beat blasting or anything like that for 6 or 7 years. I started in middle school and I got pretty proficient at it, but then I stopped because everything was like guitar, and I was in high school and then college. So I was doing a lot of singing and playing live when I was playing with my band. But, drums kind of took a back seat. But that's really interesting that you bring that up because balance is like 90% of it. And mentally,
90%. I like that number.
Yeah. And then the other 10%.
Crazy high, but it's just crazy true.
Well, especially for double bass, and I mean it's essential for even single kick playing, but with double, if you're not balanced, it's just not going to work. And there's weird things that I learned, like everybody's mechanics are different, and what works for you is not going to work. Like 99.9% of the time, it's not exactly going to work for somebody else. You have to take like those chunks of information and just make them work for you.
That is awesome. And so in our series, we got to talk about this too. So let's go back one step.
Yeah.
So what you said is when it comes to double bass drumming, balances, it's just even more, that much more important.
It's even more prevalent.
Now, this is one of these, like I said, these secrets that you can only learn this by doing, and since nobody's done it, nobody could tell me, right? So in the webinar, maybe we can do this together, and you can help me too and whatever. But I want to give those things away free, of course, as the value up front. And then if they're interested in learning more, boom, get the course.
Yeah.
So imagine balance. Okay, and we can test this. You can test this tonight.
Sure.
So go to your drum set, right? Play it for a little bit. Now put a guitar on, and preferably one of your heavier guitars. Preferably just so you can see. So I started out, Les Paul is pretty heavy compared to, other one. My Fender's actually pretty heavy too. Those are the ones that I started out on. So, and I knew right away too, it wasn't long until I was like, till I noticed that, okay, when I put the guitar, I'm playing drums and I'm not bad. And then I put the guitar on and it has me leaning a different way. The weight is, and that's going to affect every single thing. And I noticed on the right foot, on the left foot, I'm like, dang, these things got to be on point. Yep. So balance, and then finding the seat height, the proper seat height to accompany that, all these things. So biomechanics, that's a class that I took. And if it wasn't for that class, I don't think I would have been able to really pull off being as good as I have turned into, just because it came straight from science. Like the joint angles and speed.
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen on that video, you weren't able to see though, but on some other ones I have uploaded, I actually do, what is it called when you're hitting the hi-hat and then you open it and it goes like that?
A
hi-hat bark, is it a bark?
I don't know, man.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it's just like open. It's like an open
Open.
hat or a
Yeah, open. Okay.
semi-open hat. Yeah,
So I
I don't
do
know.
that little thing, but of course I don't have, I can't do it here. So when I do it with Guitrumian, what I do is, so it's tap, 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 and then I heel tap it. And that heel tap,
Right,
so it,
right. Yeah, I think it might be called a choke.
something, okay, I've heard it called a hi-hat bark or choke. Yeah.
It depends. I mean, yeah, just, I'd have to like see exactly what you're talking about, but I always remember if you hit it open and then close, shoot, that's like a choke.
Yep.
That type of
That's
like
what
you're
I'm
hitting
talking
it,
about.
that type of like wish wash,
Yeah. So and
Then
I really like that sound when I'm playing drums. I'm like, I love it because I just put it in like good times. I'm like, oh.
yeah,
I also about 2 years ago, I was a drummer at church. They need a drummer. I was like, oh, I'm down. So I would just love hitting that right at the perfect time. I would open that, hit the snare, and then splash on something really nice.
right,
It's just so good.
man. One of the best. So for me, the hi hat champions are, and a lot of them are my main influences. So Stuart Copeland from the Police.
Heard it.
So
Okay.
the drummer, yeah, and then Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Okay. He got some funky grooves. Yeah.
Yeah. So listen to those
I
bands
will.
when you get a
I will.
chance, and listen to. I'll sing you a couple of things like
You
things
please.
that really show off like hi hat stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, just crazy hi hat. Just uniqueness.
Yep. So that's what I'm working on right now. Then, so you asked me earlier. So what do you work? So video wise, like me
Yep.
practicing, me getting better at this whole instrument. That's exactly what I'm working on. Is isolating. What is it called? Maybe like
Limb independence.
Okay, there you go. Nice.
Yep,
So
limb independence.
left foot independence. I have it on my right foot. I have it on my right hand. I have it just not on my left foot.
Yeah.
Well, I have it, but it's nowhere near what it needs to be. Like if I want it to where this goes on, and so this is the goal. You want to have it on autopilot. Like you just don't want to think about it. So especially when you're soloing, because get this, when we get, and of course I would be like, that's like advanced level. But when you're soloing, when I'm doing it right now, I'm just playing a simple Boots and Cats beat, right? And I had right, so it's Boots, Cats, because I'm soloing. But and that's what the drummer usually does on a solo, right? But think about it. When you're soloing as a guitarist, what you're trying to do is you're trying to channel your feelings and you want to articulate that through your playing, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of brain power, brain energy being used. So you got to be creative. You got to be, right? And this is, of course, if you're improvising too. So which that's what I do a lot. I like to practice. I'll put on a metronome and I'll improvise a lot. But if I'm trying to, if the hi-hat is doing a different thing, because I want it to be like, like something like that. So imagine doing that when you're soloing. That is just, it's a different level. So once I nailed it, I think it's just, what else is there to do?
I mean, and I guess another thing, it might be cheating, but what you could do in theory is have like one of those sustain pedals or just a pedal with a little bit more like compression and distortion.
It's not cheating. There's no such thing.
Well, and then what you honestly could do is play, but you wouldn't have, it would be more legato on your guitar playing for a second, and you could just do like you would just hammer on all the notes. So essentially you would not be strumming. So you could honestly
I mess with that too.
Do like, your little hammer-ons and whatever, but you have to have enough gain staging on your guitar to be able to do it
going.
And for it to be worth a damn, because it's
exactly.
You're
gonna really like this. So talking about that, it's so funny. It's kind of like
finger picks.
It's talking about like, I feel like you're reading my mind too. So you're like, oh, it might be cheating, but what you're saying is, let it go, and then you use some work right here.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, okay. Dude, I didn't even think about that. The thumb pick.
Dude, you saw me. You cheater. Hey, you're cheating, bro. So yes.
That's nuts. I didn't even think about that.
Look, this is a game changer, and I called my dad. I was like, okay. I remember I called him one time because we were on the phone, and I was like, man, Dad, you're never gonna guess what. Like yesterday, I just came in it. I told him, I was like, this one little thing, this so subtle of a move or changes everything, because now instead of, look at the mechanics on this, holding a pick like this, right, it requires, look at what it does to my fingers, right? I
got it.
So that limits my mobility, that limits the possibility, that limits everything. So what I do now, look, I drop this little guy, put this on, Now look at the mechanics now. Look at how much more I can do with the drumstick.
That's
I can do,
nuts.
when I was telling you about fills and solos on both drums, this is why. So I'm strumming, and the thing is, you get really good. The next step is getting really good at strumming whatever you want and having that. And I can
tight alternate picking. Yeah, that's a whole other level.
So that's what I'm trying to master. I'm mastering that tight picking right here, but being able to do whatever I want and just figure out, because all it is, you got to figure out the rebound, where to hold the stick, you know, everything changes everything. So I think I found even the weight of the stick, you want a lightweight stick, because obviously the heavier the weight, the suckier your strumming is going to be.
Yeah.
Just because you got a weight on you, right? So every little thing it's like, okay, how do I perfect it? And it's been, like I said, this is details, seat height. We're talking about balance. We're talking about the fulcrum of the stick, where to get it. We're talking about what pick to use, what thickness, addition of a floor cymbal, all these. You haven't even seen this. I have a cymbal mounted on the back, and I give a lesson. So there's a little splash mounted right behind me. You got to see this. You got to see that one. So, and I actually give the lesson on YouTube, and I'm like, hey guys, what's up? I'm gonna teach you a lesson here. And I was like, we have this, because with Guitrum, right? You want to be as efficient as possible with all your movements.
Right.
So if you look at the strumming motion, we got a down and the up strum, right? And we're doing something right here I told you, with the down strum in the snare, right? But what about the up strum? How can we take advantage of the up strum? So on that lesson, if you go, you're gonna think it's so badass. So I'm strumming, and then I open the hi-hat. So on like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and on the and, I'm opening the hi-hat, and then I could do that, but I'm hitting this one on the up strum.
Dude.
So I'm like dun 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 ba boom. So it's a double bass. The bass gets hit on the and of 4 and the crash on 1. So da, boom. So you got to go see it. It's like I'm strumming, boom, boom. Like, and it's just so cool because it's simple. And of course, it's right here, mounted convenient to where I don't have to go out of my way. It's just like an exaggerated up strum.
Are you thinking about like singing while doing this too?
I have a video singing too.
Are you singing too?
The thing is, I sucked at singing, but guess what? I know that, as a scientist, the physiology of the throat, the muscles, the voice box, everything. So I know that singing is not something, yes, people are born with the ability to, like, they hear it in their head and they're hitting it. Yeah. But for everybody else that sucks like me,
you can work
on that. And what I bought a couple courses. Keyboard work is really good, like really just hitting that. And what I really have noticed, because I think I was pretty bad, so I want you to go listen to it. But the thing is, I'm on point. Like everything is there. What song was I singing? 867-309.
Oh, Jenny.
Jenny.
Yeah.
So I was singing that song. Let's see if I can bring it up on my phone. I just thought of that. So what I did notice about singing is being relaxed is going to get you all the notes.
Well, breathing is half of it.
Breathing and relaxation is going to get you.
Breathing is half of it, and you're going to find different placements in the voice. Yeah, man. I mean, vocals, that's a whole other animal because you can't see it. It's like the only thing that you really can't see. It's more of it's totally feel, like 100% feel.
Yeah. Tell me if you ever done this. I noticed that this made me, like, my gains in sing, like my voice and all that, so much more like profound when I incorporated this little method. So what I would do is I plug up, like when I'm doing my singing lessons, I'll have my headphones on and I'll have a mic. Mm-hmm. And what that enables me to do is not, because we can hit those notes, but we don't have the power, the strength to put, like, some mustard behind those notes, right? When you're starting out. So what I noticed is singing them at super low volumes is going to not only take strain off of, your muscles and all that, it's going to actually allow you to hit the right note. It's going to allow you to practice the right way.
Yes.
Because what you're doing, what I noticed was when I'm practicing and I'm trying to hit like I have a keyboard and the sound is going to the speakers and I'm just singing just without nothing, right? And I think that I'm doing good, right? And then I listen to the recording, I'm like, dude, I'm off. But when I have the headphones in and I have the keyboard plug, everything's going through the mixer, everything's here, and I hit the note, I know exactly if I'm on or off because I'm hearing it. It's coming right through my ear. There's no sound being lost. There's no frequencies being absorbed by the carpet or bouncing off the wall. It's just all coming through here. So that was
honestly, I mean, whatever works for you. You know, I've for years when I'm recording, I love singing live. I've always loved doing that because it's definitely more of like a room feel, and the monitors you're getting a lot better. You're getting a lot better information usually than just.
Oh, with monitors too, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I don't really like inner ears, because it'll actually make you sing differently. So a lot of the times when I'm recording, when I've got cans, you'll see this often. I mean, even if you just like plug one ear, like it's just going like this, I hear more high end in this ear than in this ear. So you're hearing the natural acoustics that's going on off the walls. So that in itself you're getting that instant feedback of whether you're on pitch or not. For some things, though, it is easier to sing with both cans on.
Okay, you're right. I said it wrong. So what I was trying to say is when your voice is amplified, like don't sing like just like without a mic. If the mic's coming through the speaker, because the whole point is not having to overpower your source that you're trying to match. Like if you're trying to that was the thing.
Same thing with guitar too. You know, a lot of people they'll like with electric and souling and all that. And I've always been me being a drummer first. So that was always something for years that I've had to kind of self-contain or be just self-aware about, self-moderate is, you know, how hard am I playing? And that could be a whole other video. Like, you know, you don't have to play so hard, or you don't have to, there's certain things. In fact,
when you're learning, the harder you play, the more it's going to mess up your mechanics and and here's the thing with that. If it's messing up your mechanics because you're trying to play too hard or too fast, those are two things, either too hard or too fast. What you're going to notice, first of all, is you're going to get off balance, and it goes back to the balance thing. But then what you're going to reinforce, because remember, your brain is always learning every single day. We're always regenerating new cells. We're always forging new connections. So guess what's going to happen? The more you practice wrong, the more your brain learns wrong.
Right.
So that's the worst thing you want to do. And that's why I made that comment to begin with, is make sure you're practicing where you're not straining your voice, because you're not trying to strain and sing loud. You're trying to sing on point and try to condition it to hit that tone, hit that note every time. And
No. Finish your thought.
So yes, that's the whole point of practice, is to build it up. It's like if you're working out, you're not going to get the muscle, you know, to overnight because you know, and you're not going to lift heavy because you're expecting to get it right away. It's more of a progression thing, and the gains happen over time. So do it. What's the awesome quote? It's like, do it light. I'll come up with it later, but what were you going to say?
Well, what I was going to ask you, I wanted to get your professional opinion on the concept of, you know, there's certain things that are just much easier and dude, I've been recording for a long time and I still face this at times, is that as soon as the record button's on or you're in front, like there's this dynamic that shifts and you're kind of, I don't know if it's like your reticular activation system. I don't really know, but it's kind of this thing where you'll play fine when you're not thinking about it. But then as soon as you're recording, or as soon as there's like, from a chemical standpoint, what is going on? Like, I get it. Like, you feel those emotions. Like, it's like you get kind of tight, and just things just get weird. You start self-analyzing. Chemically, what's going on?
So check this out. I have the same exact, and this is what's actually been a big challenge too, because I would like to have way more videos. Like when I look at my Instagram, you know Gary Vee?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, so Gary Vee, what's his whole concept? Post.
Document. Don't think, just put out. Yeah.
10,000 times a day. See, I don't really agree with that. I do to an extent, but it's right for some things. It's wrong.
You got to remember though, and here's a big thing. Like, and maybe he'll see this video and he can just like cuss me out, which would be great. I'd love it. It'd be awesome. I'd be honored to get cussed out by Gary Vee.
Same, bro. I'm gonna call him out one day too and tell him what I just
Why don't
told
we
you.
just like take this clip and just go like, Gary, just come talk shit on us, you know?
Yeah, but we need to make something to get his attention. I'm gonna make a Guitrum solo from hell that he's gonna be like,
yeah. So I don't know where I was going with that.
No, okay, you were saying you're like, so what's going on? You know, neurochemically, scientifically. Check this out.
Well, he's not. Well, what I was going to say is he's coming from the frame of business and marketing. When you're like, I know as a creative,
that works. Yes.
Right, as a creative, like you'll burn out real quick, man. Like just trying to like throw stuff out there. So anyway, that was what I was
you might just annoy everybody. And like I said, I wanted to take time to get a little bit better because it was so new. And the last thing, like I said, I'm one of those, I guess you would say like a perfectionist type of thing where I just want to put out
you and I both, man.
Stuff, you know?
You and I both.
Yeah, hell yeah, I got it pounded there. And I was like, you know what? I don't want the negative comments to start flowing to become some circus. Like, let me just put in a little bit of time to get better and better and better. And when I'm practicing, there's been some times that what I started doing now to ease this, here's something you could try doing too.
Sure.
Instead of, because I would practice, right? And then, okay, I set up the cameras and then I push record. And then I do like 8 minutes at a time or whatever. And I'm doing multiple takes and I'm messing up all the time. And I'm like, this sucks. It's like, I was just doing it right now. Right. Why am I not doing it? Like, right. So what I started doing is just recording my entire practice session and just throwing it into some huge mega drive because there will be some little things that come from that practice session.
And great.
They're so great. And you forget the camera's on because it's an hour or like, however long you practice.
There's a concept that I learned earlier on from a producer that I was working with at one point, and it's called ABR, which is always be recording. So, you know, and first takes, man, like, I mean, so many times, especially because I'm an actor as well, and a lot of audition tapes you'll do, record the cold read, because even if they want to see you with it off book or memorized, you never know because there's magic that happens there. You're not thinking about it. It's kind of like whatever, you know?
Yeah. So I think the reason, if we want to go into the science of why that happens, it all goes back to atoms all the way down to like.
Really?
Yes. And this is.
Really?
This is
all right. I gotta hear about this, man.
This
is good. This is good.
Let me make sure that would be so embarrassing because this is physics and I'm not a physicist. But of course, I'm a physiologist, but the science is all there. The experiment is by Edward Schrodinger. So you got to look at Schrodinger's cat or Schrodinger's box, something like that. Okay. But anyways, there's this experiment where, in science, quantum, these scientists, we know this already, that when an atom knows that it's being watched, it behaves differently.
No way.
It's going to blow your mind. And
you're telling me on a quantum level this is going on?
Quantum level.
How does an atom know it's being watched?
I just got chills.
Dude, what in the world, man?
Okay.
So you're killing me right now.
So that's why it answers, because when this is happening to me when I'm recording too, and I'm experiencing the same thing. And I'm sure a lot of people out there, here's what I've heard. And it's funny. My buddy the other day, he's a guitarist. He gigs in a band. We're talking about recording some little video, right? And I asked him, I was like, dude, do you suck? Like when you're recording yourself, or like, are you actually better? Because like, there's two types of people. There's some that like they thrive when the camera's on.
Right.
And there's some people that don't. I'm the type that I think I don't, but maybe there's a way to fix that. And maybe it's just by becoming good.
It's just practice. Yeah. Yeah. So and you have to like not care that it's on. It's almost like you have to psychologically play into it.
But, yeah.
Yeah, it's strange.
What I did notice too is with this guy, he's more of an introvert. Like our personalities are entirely opposite.
Right.
Polar opposites, right? So I'm the outgoing, like I like to talk to everybody. I'm out there, boom. He is the opposite. He loves staying in his house, doesn't want to talk, like, doesn't socialize, like stays there playing his guitar, stuff like that. So he thrives when the camera's on. And me being perfect, be talking to everyone and being out there, my personality, when the camera's on, like I just want it to be perfect. So I think that messes me up.
Right.
So it's weird when you look at all the others, all these little things that play into that. But going back to the atom thing, when I saw that experiment, I was like, this is crazy. Like how I had the same question. How does the atom know it's being watched? Like this makes zero sense. It makes it behave differently.
That is nuts.
And if we're talking about one atom, we're talking about a single one, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you're made up of, I don't know what the quadrant, I don't know, infinity
To the
atom.
whatever power worth,
Exactly. So many atoms, or we're some trillion cells, So imagine how many atoms make up a cell. So go figure that.
that's
Now,
incredible.
if it happens at that basic rudimentary, level, imagine the level on the whole organism, like
Right.
how all the atoms you have. So, and all the atoms we have, as soon as we hit the record button, all of the atoms we have, they know that they're being watched. So they're going to behave differently naturally, whether that's for the better or for the worse. The thing is, they have to behave differently.
Well, it's kind of like, and as you could tell, when you start an interview or whatever, and this is probably episode 50 at this point. I've been doing these for about 9 months. Always at the beginning, things just, because right now you and I are probably a lot more relaxed than when we first
It
started.
takes a while to get into the vibe, right?
It never changes. Like, it doesn't matter how long you do something for, there's always that, there's that
what it
shift.
is? It's 25 to 30 minutes. And I read this study that came out. So check this out. Whenever you're trying to work on a project, whenever you're trying to go into the studio, produce, work, or do something, what you're going to want to do to get the most out of that time, because obviously higher focus directly correlates to a better outcome, right? A better result, right? So what you want to do is take advantage. You want to harness that. So they said right now the study is looking at 25 to 30 minutes. They say that it takes us to go from to when you first start the project, or to when you first sit down, let's say studying, right? We're studying. So I first sit down to study. It's going to take me about 25 to 30 minutes to reach that peak level of absorption where I'm just like in tune, I'm vibing with that. Everything's going on. Now, I guess you could call it's kind of like a warm up, right? In theory, that's what it is, a warm up. So working out, you have your warm up. So it's the same thing with the brain. The brain needs to warm up, and then until it really dials in and focus. So that's kind of what we're experiencing now too. But here's the thing, that can be disrupted so quickly.
Yes.
Like, my brother walked across over there, and something like the little distraction, it took something, whether how small it was or whatever, it took attention, energy, focus away from what I was telling you and how we were vibing, the momentum what we were doing, what we were discussing, right? So it's the same thing with everything. So what I do is I've been getting into the habit of turning my phone off, because a little message, that little thing, even if you don't check it, imagine this, you're working and you're already in tune, and it could be whatever you're doing, right?
It's on a subliminal or subconscious level. Yeah,
subconscious. And I could prove this by just one little fact. The little notification you get from Twitter, from Snapchat, from Instagram, whatever, they're all different. So you're here doing your work, whatever, and you hear a specific thing go off. Your brain already took focus away from here, and it analyzed what that thing.
It's like freaking Pavlov's dog, man. Emotionally speaking, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Without even trying to figure out what app it came from, your brain did it by itself.
Right.
So in order for it to do that, it means
physiologically, even because you feel like, oh, I know who that is. Oh, I got to get
exactly.
Exactly.
And what did it do to your train of thought? You were on a roll and you're hitting something, but now you had to take the time of thought, even though you didn't say, "Oh, I know who that is." Your brain did.
Dude, this is like we could do a mini series on this stuff.
We're gonna have to. I truly think. So everybody comes into your life right at the same, and I'm experiencing this right now with multiple people.
Right.
That's my sound man just came in at the time when I needed him, when I already put in the hours of practice. I already did that stuff. So when he came in, he didn't come in when I wasn't prepared. Like I said, he came in right when I'm prepared, right when I'm ready to film the course, right when I was done writing my 12 things that are the most important thing to learn. So he comes in, does his thing. The video guy that I have came in right at the exact time. So I'm a huge believer in that. Like, everything happens for a perfect.
I'm the same way, as painful as it is at times, because you know what I'm talking about. Like, and you said church, you said some stuff about faith, and I was curious to get your take on that, if you want to talk about that for a little bit.
Talk about anything you want, brother.
No, I mean, because even with that regard, now we're getting into supernatural aspects. We're getting into the blurred lines between science and phenomenon, and how I mean, there's stuff that I've gone through that scientifically you can't explain. I'm sure there's things that you've gone through scientifically you can't explain, but we're experiencing it from the scientific the chemical reaction that is giving us that literally that experience and able to receive whatever that is that we're perceiving at the time, which I don't know how that works.
It's so intense. So, and you're going to really love hearing about what like this book was about, the whole aim of it, what I uncovered, because like I said, I went through, let me real quick. I went through,
sure.
I grew up.
Me too.
Yeah. You see, this is actually pretty good. So I grew up in church, and, you know, small city. So, you know, church, that was the thing. That was the normal thing.
Yep.
I go off to college, and it was some people in my family, particular, not in my family, but like extended family, you know, uncles, stuff like that. They were pastors or you know, preaching and real high up on that or big into that. Mm-hmm. But what I noticed is like they lacked in like the love was not there, or I felt like you was just like just mean person type of thing. And I'm like,
was it like legalistic perhaps?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What Paul says in the Bible, he's like God is love, like love is God.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, agape or whatever.
Agape,
yeah.
Unconditional. Yeah, all that. So how are you, you know, sitting here trying to teach us, you know, Bible, this and that, when you don't see the fruit in your life of, you know?
Fruit.
So I'm like, come on. Anyway, so that got me. And then of course I learned the science, and they teach evolution a lot. So I learned all these things going on. So it kind of drew me back from the whole religion thing. And this is something totally unforeseen. So my whole thing starting out this book that I was going to write was to prove that basically, I mean, there really is no God, and that if there is, everybody's accepted by him, whether you're this, that, blah, blah. So just that was like the whole concept going out. But then I put in the years and years of research and everything.
Right.
And there's some major things. There's some gaps in the evolution, like what they teach us, because man, we get into that stuff.
Oh, that's a whole other
yeah.
And I mean, from a it depends on what I say here, because it's like I'll never hear the end of it. But I'll without saying any names, I'll say this: there are some really sharp folks out there that are on the theology side that are able to answer those questions and really put
I've turned into one of those. That's what I was going to tell you. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy.
You know, and I mean, listen, there's still things that you're not going to know unless you were physically there at the time.
Yeah.
But to hear about the carbon dating, and I know like already when I start talking about carbon dating, and
I've heard all that. Yeah.
People are there's no fallacy in it. And it's like, come on, guy. Like even the scientists will admit you can't prove this 100%. So
these elements age. Who's to say? Because environment, atmosphere, temperature, all these, there's so many variables that change how an element decays, especially, you know, radioactive elements, all that stuff. So when you're dating stuff by half-lives, right? Like carbon dating. So you're assuming a lot of things, like the rate of decay was always constant. When we have proof that there's certain elements that the rate of decay, it hasn't always been constant.
Well, and the other thing is, like, from an evolutionary standpoint, the micro evolution is prominent. You can't.
That's what I was gonna say.
You can't sit there and
that.
Yeah, no. So on a macro scale, though, you take that. I remember I had to take an anthropology course because I have a bachelor's of science in business, so I had to do like math, statistics, and And I had to take an anthropology, biological anthropology. That was like required as one of the sciences.
That must have been a fun class, right? That was a fun class.
Yeah, I mean it was fun. It was really, really, it made me question a lot of things. And one of the questions was, okay, so that half like chimp, half human thing, Lucy, whatever, allegedly 3-4 million.
Yeah.
You start figuring out, okay, well, they found the skull here, and they found the pelvic bone 3 miles away. It's like, okay, but come on. I mean, it's just, come on, though.
We're going to make a series about this. Woo, it's going to be good. Let me summarize it in 30 seconds. Check it out. You're going to love this. So microevolution, ready? And the clock starts. So microevolution is all about information. So life is about information, right? So the genetic code, right? DNA, we have it's a 4-letter alphabet.
Yeah.
Okay. A, T, G, and C, right? Mm-hmm. That's a 4-letter alphabet. and it's universal throughout life, right? So let's call the genome, which is all the set of genes that an organism has, right?
Yeah.
All the DNA it has. Let's call the genome. The genome, all it is exactly the same thing as a book. Okay.
It's a coding.
It's a book, yeah. The entire thing. It's not the alphabet, it's a book, because at the end of the day, it spells out when, how to build life, an organism, right? It tells you exactly how. So check this out. This is we have the English, right now we're talking in English, right? Okay, so there's the language right there. Now DNA is the language of life, right? So let me ask you this. What are the chances, and by the way, English is we say it's a complicated language, I think more so than Spanish, right? Now get this, how much more complicated is the language of, that spells out life? They call it the most complicated language in the universe. It's just so complex, the most complex language. I mean, you get these 4 little letters and it'll write you like a human being, How crazy is that? Now, get this. If I asked you, what are the chances, do books write themselves? Like, have you ever seen a book just write itself? Like, right? Because in order to have a book, you have to have a language first, and then those languages have to come together to form words. The words have to come together to form sentences. Then you got punctuation. The first sentence and the second sentence have to go together in a way that it sets up for the third sentence, and so on. Then you got paragraphs, right? And then you got chapters, and then of course you got the book.
You have to have interpretation.
Exactly.
You have to be able to.
Yeah. Exactly. With the genome, what we're seeing is the exact same thing. We got the A, T, G, and the C, and then we have the amino acids, right? They come together, and it's those amino acids that make the protein, and it's that protein that makes the tissue, then the cells. Then the cells come together to form the tissue, and it just goes on, and everything's specified in this code. So when you look at when scientists get in the lab and they're reading the code, what they're really reading is chapters, the chromosomes. We got 46, right? So those are 46 chapters in the book of life. Divide those chromosomes, okay? We look, and then we see the different paragraphs, right? They make up that chapter of, right? And then if we look in, and then we see the actual code for the protein sequence. We're like, okay, there it is. That sentence right there, that is the protein. And then of course we have mutations. So look at this. Mutations are thought to take a one-celled bacterial cell that you can't even see into a human, just add time. That's the theory, right?
Right.
So, I mean, that just seems so ridiculous to me, because so much information has to be put in there.
Yeah.
Right?
How could it be random?
And here's what we're seeing in evolution, and here's what the science directly proves. The microevolutions that we see, all that's being done is you'll have a sentence, right, of the book of life, the genome, the code, and you'll mutate a letter out of the word. So instead of rat, R-A-T, you have a mutation at the end, and the T changes to an M. So it's RAM now.
Right.
That changes the meaning of the sentence for the good or for the bad. So most mutations, 99% of mutations are bad. We know this. Cancer, all the diseases that are caused by mutations, everything, a lot of bad stuff caused by mutation. All mutation is a random change. It's not good or bad. It's only good or bad. What determines if it is the environment. So what we're seeing in evolution is we'll have gray colored rats and we'll have black colored rats, right? And let's just say they're living on a volcanic rock. The rock is black. Guess what? The rat had a mutation in one of its codes, and it makes the black. And natural selection takes its course. That black one is camouflage. When you have an albino rat, which had a mutation, it makes it white. Now you have this rat scurrying along, and every single bird sees this rat. Every single snake sees this rat. Everybody, it's a sore thumb sticking out.
Right.
And boom, that one gets picked off. So in that scenario, that mutation, that random mutation, it was selected against. Right. But check this out. You change the environment to snow. So now you're in Alaska. That white rat that had that one mutation is going to survive way more than the black rats. Game over. So when you look at the mechanism behind the scene, Darwin, this is what Darwin didn't know. He didn't know that there was a book of life and behind these characteristics, because he observed what we all observe. Oh, you get these pigeons, you made them, you have different breeds because you're combining different traits. Those different traits, you're combining like different little sentences, there's mutations going on. And when you look at dogs right now, I love using the dog example because all we're doing with dogs, you notice all the breeds, like, have you seen those? I mean, there's so many breeds that it's hard to keep up. The ones that have their face all smashed in and they're like the pugs.
Right.
How do they, have you heard some of them, those guys breathe? Like are the bulldogs? Have you heard them?
Yeah.
Okay. That is the result of the accumulation of, we call this deleterious mutation, bad mutation. So all these bad, you look at them and at all the time, we have all these mutations going on, right? They get passed down. So what's happening with breeds is they're keeping those bad mutations in the gene pool, in the family, right? And they're compounding over time. See, in nature, so artificial selection, obviously, it's not natural, right? So when you're playing God, trying to do what nature does, or you're playing nature, you can't do it because all the bad mutations, I'm telling you, there'll be a change to where
you can't facilitate that process like nature can.
Yeah, it'll make you run. It'll make a lion run slower. Okay,
right.
That little slower running lion might not be able to catch food. So, and then imagine if you take that slower lion, but which normally, if it was in the natural environment, it would have been dead. But now you're keeping it and you're breeding it more and more and more to get slower lions. You know what I'm saying? So what we did with the wolf is over time, the wolves came to the camp, foxes, all that stuff, whatever. And the nicer wolves, right? Not the mean wolves, the nicer ones.
They were domesticated.
Exactly. We fed them. And then over time, we bred for niceness. We bred for different traits. But all we're doing is keeping a ton of mutation in the people and circulating it. So every generation is worse off than the beginning. Now, what Darwin would have seen, he would have seen, and he even cited this. So this is not hearsay. He cited this in his book. He's like, the mere fact that we have all these pigeons and all these dogs in just short generations is proof of what I'm saying is right. Evolution. But now you fast forward to 2020 and we can actually look at the genetic code, with 2020 vision, right? And what we're seeing is, dude, your theory only works if there's information being
if it's added, of its kind,
and it's progressing and it's like, going somewhere. It doesn't work if, you got, like I told you with the rat example, this rat had a random mutation and it allowed it to survive in this environment. And if it was in this environment, it would have survived in this environment. Like that's rock plus environment. Black rock plus black rat. Yeah, is good.
It equals zero. But I mean, there's people that cling to this stuff. It's like, okay, you can't prove it because you weren't there.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean? It's the same way. Like, I can't prove. I'm a theologian myself. Admire science. Totally, am all about it.
Yeah.
And I think both coexist beautifully. But at the same time, I can't sit there and prove that all this stuff was made out of thin air. It comes from a standpoint of faith. But I would say the same thing for evolution on a macro scale. It's its own religion in itself because you can't prove it. I mean, you can build evidence and you can build theories on it. There's a theory of theology and the theory of evolution. It's like, well, at the end of the day, from what we know, what we've gathered, there's intelligent design. It's kind of like
intelligent design. Exactly.
Yeah, that watch theory. I can't remember that.
It was Richard Dawkins, the blind watchmaker.
That's right. The watch in the field, you stumble upon a watch, like some philosophy guy talked about that.
We see
Descartes, I think was his name. Descartes. I'm drawing a blank, but he was a philosopher. He talked about you walk into a field, you stumble upon a watch, and the watch, anybody with any reason would ask, okay, well, this watch is of intelligent design.
This is the guy from a little way back, right?
Way back, like
because
400 years ago.
Okay, perfect. So the book that I told you about. So Richard Dawkins. You've heard of him, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that guy. He's a beast. He's a very talented writer. Man, that guy was like, he's so good. It's very hard. What I noticed when people have something ingrained in them from the very beginning, that bias, the longer you hold on to it, the harder it is to let go of it.
Right. So, for sure.
The longer you programmed in. So I was lucky out to the point where, I was only holding on to this for, 2, 3, 4 years. And I'm looking at the evidence as a whole. This guy's been looking at it as his whole life. Mm-hmm. And to begin with, he sees religion as like a pestilence. Like, you know what I'm saying? So he already has a deeply rooted hate for religion. So even more so when you compound that, you add that to the fact that he's a scientist and he's been doing that for 4 years, whatever, all the more likely it is for him to, you know, say like, for him to let go of those beliefs in spite of the new evidence that's coming in.
Yeah.
Because if Darwin knew what we know today, he couldn't say what he said in his book. Yet that book, written in 1859, that's like the pillar of evolutionary theory. And we're still clinging on to that. But so he's observing change over time, but the change is not evolving, it's devolving. That's what we're seeing. So it's kind of like, it makes sense because when you look about the creation point of view, you have these different types of animals, right? So different types of groups, right?
Yeah.
You got your reptiles, you got your mammals, you got your this and that. So within those, of course, there's subgroup. But now it makes more. What we see though is one ancestral species, right, of the tree, and then we see that branching out into lots of different types. Because we know cats, house cats, we know they're related to, you know, tigers and leopards, and all the cats are related. All the cats are related. So it seems more reasonable now that we know of DNA and what's going on with mutation and how it really works. It seems way more reasonable when you look at the facts to say, look, it started out like this, like with one, and then from there it branched out because you have information degradation every single generation. Right. It's being degraded just because these aren't strategic mutations. It happens everywhere, which means by nature, okay, it has to be 99% devolution, 1%, you know, even like, just the numbers. So you look at that.
I mean, and even the numbers, like if you look at, I'm thinking of like the Great Flood and how did the world get so populated so quickly? Well, you just, and the fact that folks were living at the time, and even when you get into like oxygen levels pre-flood and what they were after that.
Yeah.
You know, so people were living hundreds.
Bigger back then. Yes.
They were living hundreds of years old. They were eating right off the vine, right out of the on the animal.
Organic, 100%.
Yeah. So you know, everything was just different, and people were having multiple wives and whatever. So I mean, it's just like, I don't know, you know, and the whole Noah's Ark thing and all that, it's that to me, out of all the Bible stories and documentations, that to me is the most whacked out one. But you look at it and it's like, yeah, it definitely is plausible. I mean, I believe it happened. I can't prove that it happened, but it's out of all of them, that is the most whacked out, in my opinion. But it's nuts, you know, when you think about it.
It is, and it just blows my mind how, like, the amount of what do you call it, like just dedication to detail. Like, I mean, we're talking about us, imagine the complexity of a human. Like, we can't even begin. You have like a sperm and an egg cell, so it's like just one cell. They come together,
right?
They call it the zygote, I think. So it's one cell.
Yeah, zygote, is that what it is?
Zygote. You get one cell, and it replicates, right? And you have all these instructions that the cell is following it, and it's just one dance of just everybody knows what to do. All the little particles in the cell, the organelles, everything's working together as one team. So that one cell then goes on to, at specific times that are, again, determined directly in the information code, right? So because now you have to make eye cells out of that one cell. You have to make an ear cell, you know, skin cells, a heart cell, a liver cell, kidney cells, and they all have to be produced or become expressed at the right time. You can't start having kidneys being, you know, produced. That can't be the second. A kidney cell can't be the next thing after the zygote. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And neither can a heart cell. Like,
that's some deep stuff.
It's deep stuff, bro.
That
like,
translates into like life in general, man. This is like, dude, this is like, whoa, man.
Yeah, it all goes back into that one thing we were talking about, atoms.
Right.
It's somehow related. There's some dimension that we don't know about. There's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of stuff we don't know about. It's all related, bro. And there's so much more that, and that's the one thing, just by looking at humans in general, you observe them and we assume that, like, we know it all. Like, that's the one thing, especially people that are, and I'd say the people that are the most, like, at the top of academia, they're the ones like with the bigger egos. It's very easy for them to just think, oh yeah, I'm the smartest human, I just know it all. Like, whatever you guys say, like, I don't even want to, like, have an open mind to that, because, like, I'm smarter than you, and that's just, look at my credentials, you know, like, I've done more, I know more. But we're so like we don't know nearly, you know.
Yeah.
So what was some philosopher said? The more I learn, the more I know that I don't know.
The more you know, the more you don't know.
So that's exactly the way it is.
It's the same thing with music. It's the same exact thing. It's like it just does. I mean, 12 notes.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you draw when you hear 12 notes? And because music, and we're talking about, so wow, that's another thing there. I think music is like divine. It's like, check it out. So you said 7, right? You know, there's 7 days in a week, the 7 days of creation. There's 7 is a very important number in the Bible. Yes. Like, man, oh man, oh man. 7 is deep. 12 is very deep too. The 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 disciples, the 12 notes of music, or like the 12 chromatic, you know? So then you have the 7 notes, right, in a key, right? Like all this stuff is somehow related, man. Like how could it just?
Yeah. Well, and even on top of that, I mean, just vibration in general.
Vibration, yes.
Yeah, that's like a whole other mini series, like talking about vibration and.
Yeah. Because that's all that exists in theory. Like that's so.
Well, that's literally existence, is the fact that you can experience vibration at certain frequencies. That's literally what creates the senses. You know, and to pass a certain frequency range, you've got your sound.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, I'm just talking about like the spectrum. Yeah, the spectrum of frequency from 0, which is essentially no frequency energy, to 20K, which is basically right where the human ear tops off. A lot of people can't hear past 15 or 16. I can hear close to 20 just because of all the production. It's like you turn crazy doing it. And then it'll go past, bats hear up to 100K and dogs hear up to whatever.
100K, that echolocation. Oh man.
The
complexity of a bat, okay? Like scientists back then, and we're just talking about 150, 200 years ago, they're so cocky to say that a bat is just so much less advanced than a human. But when you think about it, you're like, wait, they're both alive. They both take in from their environment. They have chemical processes that produce energy. They extract, they make ATP. The bat does shit that humans don't do.
Right.
Like, it says echolocation, and like, how did that system, imagine the complexity, like you're sending that wave out, the wave's bouncing back, coming back to you. Somehow the bat is analyzing that. Remember, it came from that one cell too when the bat was being created. Damn, dude.
I mean, think about, the camera lenses, because that in itself, what they developed, that they actually used cadavers of human eyes, and they were essentially creating camera lenses, 30s, 40s, 50s, based on what they're looking at in the eyes, because aperture is like the pupil, all that. So it's just that to me is incredible. Like focus has to do with, the muscles in the eye, and pulling focus, literally your eyes like pulling focus. So, and talk about at night, your pupil opens up. It's the same thing. You got to let more light in, but then your depth of field shortens because of just it's like really bizarre. Like the whole camera is designed like the human eye. And,
and that's a tall sound, like right there. Why, when we're trying to invent something, why do we look to something that like life? Why are we trying to model it after something living, right? And once we do that, how are we so comfortable with looking after the eye, modeling a camera after the human eye, but then saying that the eye is a product of freaking random mutation and just chance and just no intelligent design?
Yeah.
When we're intelligent already.
Yeah.
But we're trying to copy something that was created unintelligently. Does that make a sense?
No, it makes total sense. I mean, it's like same thing with like an engine. And I'm not really like a gearhead. I'm a gearhead in audio and video world, but not like cars, for example. But you take a piston, and the combustion, I mean, it's very, very simple, but it's extremely complex. Like the timing belt, you've got the base of the engine, the block of the engine. I mean, just to start an engine, like all the components that
need to go into, and that I use the car example in my book. I say, let's compare a human to a car, and of course, a car is far more simple than a human. So in theory, let's take the theory of evolution and we apply it to the instruction manual of how to build a car. Let's just say that one existed, but remember this is how, if this instruction booklet, how to build a car from scratch, because remember, you got to go from scratch, right?
Right.
This book would be, big time, because now it specifies one chapter is on how to make screws. One chapter is on how to make the cloth for the seat fabric. The next chapter is how to take that cloth and how to put it into a seat.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
And then the seat in the car before the horse.
How do you build the piston? You have instruction, a chapter on how to build the hood, how to build the wheel, the axle, everything. So now you take evolution and random mutation and selection, right? And let's just start taking different words and just swapping them randomly here and there in the instruction booklet. Are you going to create a better car or a worse car?
It'll be a whacked out mutation.
It'll be whacked out, yeah.
The seat will be on top of the vehicle. The wheels will be like the cup holders. You know what I mean? It's just like
yeah. What would happen? No, here's what would happen first. You'd have each component decaying. So over time, the wheel would be less, because remember, these are small mutations. So the wheel, the tire would be less and less rubbery. The seat would start to be less and less cushiony and fabricy, right? So that's what these mutations are going to start doing. And then here's where selection comes into play. Maybe you have a customer that likes a less cushiony seat.
Well,
and he takes that mutation that, well, you would consider not awesome intellectual information that was added to the booklet on how to make the car. It was just a random mistake and error that this customer had a preference. So the customer is natural selection. It's nature. Nature decides whether the preference, right? Like the environment. If we're in black weather, okay, I'm favoring black camouflaged animals. They're going to be eaten at a less frequent rate. Yeah. So same thing with cars and mutations. So when you start looking at it, it gets deep and it's so interesting.
Dude, this is crazy, man.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, this is just great dialogue, great discussion. I want to get your thoughts on it. Kind of, I mean, this could be a whole other can of worms. But while we're here, to kind of skirt over to this part of the conversation, COVID-19. We talked about it earlier, but with all this knowledge now, if you could kind of briefly say, what do you think from a mutation standpoint, virally speaking? What do you think we have to watch out for?
So I wouldn't know.
I know it's not like totally your field.
I have to look into that. Like I said, the major thing I would be worried about is any mutation that would enable this virus to, let's see, maybe cause a longer incubation period.
Oh, right? Okay.
That would be that mutation right there, and of course, it's not like a single one. It has to be a series of crazy mutations to different proteins controlling that specific chapter, right? So it would be a very hard thing, like I said.
So you're saying people could be walking around with it for 3 months.
And then all of a sudden, one little viral cell in one human has the perfect concoction to make it.
And it just takes one.
And it just takes one, because then that will be if it's selected for, that will be the dominant, that one will take over and it'll have way more disastrous effects. But here's the good news. Here's the great news to that. That rarely happens. In fact, man, I have a whole book on it. And this was just when it was coming out in 2011. It's called Biological Information, with the scientists. So everything that I've been telling you about information, what we know about mutations and how that affects, what they're saying is, and they study viruses, because virus is a perfect thing to study if you're studying mutation, because they're like, boom, they're replicating like all day, all night. So we have mountains of data, right? And the good news is, like, again, the theory holds up. 99.9999, I don't know what it was, of those mutations are bad for the virus, meaning it's hampering the viral reproduction. It's hampering the potency. It's a weak virus, it's weakening the virus.
Right.
But that's what we expect. That's what we see in nature when mutations happen. It's not really adding beneficial information to the organism. It's really changing different things, and then enabling nature to choose. But it was changing things that were already there, not for a good way or a bad way per se at the beginning, but over time, though, eventually it's going to be all, because like I said, if it's unchecked, we're going to end up like chihuahuas, or we're squished in like crazy. We were just all bad, Mm-hmm. So with the virus, the thing to look for is like that incubation period, maybe something that makes it more, here's another one, contagious. Oh, we talked about that. If it's more contagious now, that's horrible, because more people are going to get it, right? So imagine that a virus because this is what humans face in the future, and this is inevitable, especially with overpopulation and all that stuff. Is we're gonna have a virus it's gonna be the one to just wipe us out. It's even in the Bible, I think. Pestilence is gonna be one of the plagues. This is weird stuff because now.
Yeah, and the crazy thing, one of my friends sent me locusts. Like did you see that out in Africa? Okay, that's famine, going on right now. Yeah, like it's been going on for months. Man. Billions and billions. Yeah, it was crazy. She sent me that about a month ago, like right when this all started. I was like,
man, if you look at the plagues in Egypt, notice the wording of it. And it's always plague, like the beasts of the earth, the beasts of the fields, this and that. This virus is thought to have come from the animals. Mm-hmm. The animals because animals in the Bible are referred to as beasts, right?
Right.
So this virus came from the beasts of, what do you call it? We're just the world, I guess. The jungle, China, wherever their environment, they're eating live animals. Who knows what the hell they're doing? But it crossed, and that's what happened. So this virus is coming from, the beast, kind of like the Bible said. And the Bible trips me out because that prophecy in Revelation where, the beast 666, the mark of the beast, basically it's this currency. So the main idea is there's this world currency that's going to happen. Right. It's going to be a one world order, one world religion, one world currency. But if you look at 2,000 years ago when they wrote this, how could they have known that nobody could buy or sell with, like, how could they know of a one world currency? Like, the technology wasn't even there.
Right.
But now, a couple years, 10, 20 years ago, we have the radio chips. We have all these things that make it possible. Now with this virus, you have the need. And and you
look at the Chinese, the Chinese government, there was a special, I think BBC covered it, and they're walking around getting face scanned. Their credit cards, debit cards are all being fed into that giant communist. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's literally a commune of information. People know whether they're diagnosed or not, and it's all like at government's disposal to do as it wishes with that information. It's all feeding to one source.
Exactly. And I'm going to tell you this right now. This is going to be my biggest worry out of everything. And this is the direction we're headed. We already know there's a group of people that, it's funny. The Bible says this, but we don't need the Bible to say this because it's just common sense. And we just know this today.
Right.
There's a group of elite people that own mostly everything.
Oh yeah. And I mean, we've been talking about this for years, friends of mine, and I don't really talk about it much on this show, but at this point it's unraveling itself. So
they're just, man, it's so crazy to me because now it's in plain sight. How could you not see this? There's a group of people that are very wealthy, very high up, all the resources, and they are watching this extreme. This is like I'm not going to go as far to say whether it's a man-made disease or not, but that doesn't matter. The point that matters is this. They're capitalizing on this right now.
Of course.
They have a plan, right? If you look at the United Nations Agenda 21, depopulation is in there. There's a lot of nasty stuff in there, right?
Yeah.
And so where we're going with this is paving the way for them to make vaccination laws to where, they're going to use the scare of this whole thing.
It's the same thing.
9/11.
Dude, you're like, oh my God,
you're my boy, dude. I'm telling you, you're my boy already. Like,
it's the same thing with, stripping your rights.
What came off of 9/11, right?
Yeah.
The fear.
That's it. And creating fear, creating a solution to the fear, and you don't have anything.
But this relates to the Bible too, though, because that fear directly, the laws that came out of the Patriot Act, which happened because of 9/11, they used that to get this. Because remember, there was no Facebook back then. This is 2001,
Right.
708, there's Facebook. Now the CIA is social media, Facebook, they're all in. They have the Edward Snowden, blow the whistle. They're taking massive data. They have this, and what they want to do is build this virtual to where they track everybody's on the grid, they call it.
Yeah.
So they want that, and the whole point of that is because the elites, they just want to maintain control. So they have all of the resources. They own everything. They own the world. They own oil, gas. I mean, these are the richest people getting together, and plotting.
Oh, yeah.
It's the 1%. Everybody knows the 1%ers now. But if you're talking about 1%ers before 07, it's like, what are you talking about? But now everybody knows what I'm talking about.
And I say it's 0.01%.
Yes, it's 0.01. Yes.
That's really, like, forget about the 1%.
0.001, exactly.
I mean, add a couple of zeros and a decimal.
Add a couple of zeros, for sure. So
yeah,
it's the same thing, brother. Like the same thing happened with 9/11, and they're using this, and this all goes into that one world order, that one world agenda, to where everybody's been accounted for, to where they have technology, to where there can be actual, a thing to where if the dollar collapses, which hello, the dollar's we're collapsing right now.
We're right on that
Every year we're
precipice.
going like this towards the dollar collapse every year.
Yeah.
So when that happens, guess what? The dollar is the number. That's the currency of the world. When that happens, when that gets knocked off as king, guess what's going to come in its place? This cashless society.
Yeah, Bitcoin or something.
Oh my gosh, to where we have it somewhere, or and it's all being regulated. And if we're not going along with the system, if we're not in tune to what they say, they cut us off. You're like, you got no wallet now. Like if you have your iPhone wallet, it's like you're not going. You're being a dissenting voice. You're like, okay, boop, he's off. Now all of a sudden you don't have your credit. You don't have your virtual wallet. You can't buy or sell anything.
Right.
So yeah, this is all. It all plays in.
And we're seeing it. We're seeing it already with social media, censorship, certain voices being silenced, and at this point, I mean, it's like, from an apolitical standpoint, you're gonna see it from both sides. I'm an independent. I don't really talk about this again on the show, but we're so in the weeds here. It's like whatever.
Yeah, you're gonna have fun editing this.
No, I'm not. I mean, this is it, man. Like this is the big bulk. We don't edit anything on this show.
Yeah, that's what's up.
So this. I tell people this every single time when we get into COVID discussions. It's like you've got to take the politics out of it because it has nothing to do with it at all. Personally, like
you're right.
Doesn't have anything. Right. There is so much more that's going on, and I really hope this awakens people to literally wake up and see the world for what it is and how much little you've got control over you, but how much little control you have. That's like a positive negative. How little control you have over
exactly.
Over,
and you're 100% right.
Yeah. So, and I think people are becoming a little bit more aware of this.
And here's why. And I really want to, again, I told you everything happens for a reason. This book, I put it up for pre-order 2017, I think.
Yeah.
I ate my own words. I ate my own words because I said, look, guys, it's launching. I made a video, everything. I had it up for pre-order. There was ordered, everything. But I learned some information that I was like, dang, I'm not going to put this out there until it's like finished. But now with what's happened, this book is going to be so much more. It's so much more relevant right now.
When does it drop again?
So I don't even know the drop date because that's another thing. I need to hire people now that,
right.
It's just going to help. I got a lot of stuff going on, but I'm going to use this whole Guitrum Hero thing that gives me,
puts me out there. Platform.
Exactly. Give me a platform to get this book out. And that's where I think that happened to me at that time. Look, this whole Guitrum thing, I stumbled to it taking a break from writing my book. And now that we've been talking, this stuff, we're talking about science, we're talking about religion, we're talking about crazy stuff. How the plot,
this is great.
The Guitrum just happened by me taking all this mental going on. I need a break, dude. So that's how I invented that. It just came out of that.
Wow.
So now the book is going to be like, I literally think God, which is funny because I didn't believe, remember I said I didn't believe in God, but now it's like, dang, how could I not? Because I don't know who or what God is or how, because it's like who created God? We don't know. All I know is his fingerprint is everywhere. Okay. That's it. So,
well, with that being said, here, listen, I know like we're definitely going to do some more content together for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, you live in California?
No, I'm in North Carolina.
North Carolina. My uncle lives there. Okay, maybe I can plan a trip out.
What part?
I'm gonna find out because I don't know what part.
Yeah, let me know. I'm close. I'm in the Triangle area, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. It's like
more than welcome. This is my I guess my whole plan right now, and it's so funny. You're the first one to hit me up and to do a podcast and all that because I want to collaborate with as many people as I can, just to get this message out there. Like I said, and so I'm willing to like go to people. You're more than welcome to come here. I got a room.
Thanks, dude.
Separate room.
I was a Texas.
Fly you in. That would be great. Just to fly you in, have you here for a couple of days. You could do your podcast still, with people.
The last time I was in Texas was a couple of years ago. We went to Dallas. I was actually shooting a music video and had a couple of shows down there. We went to Dallas and was it Fort Worth? Is Fort Worth on the east
Fort
side?
Worth. It's kind of like a little bit.
Oh, dude, it was
Right.
Houston.
Houston's to the right,
close.
yeah.
Houston's close to the Gulf, right? Gulf of Mexico.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
So, yes,
that's where it is. Yeah, so we hit Dallas, we hit Houston. So yeah.
You're gonna come. We'll hit up the beach, South Padre.
Yeah,
It'll be
man.
fun, man. We'll
Yeah,
get
you know it.
done. Content galore. Like,
Hey, hopefully we actually have a chance to meet, and we're not, in some sort of like quarantine.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. So with that, what's gonna happen is New York already saw its what do you call it? It's starting to plateau. So that's good news. The thing is, they're expecting maybe a second wave. That's gonna come. It won't be maybe as severe. Who knows? But the thing is, we're gonna get out of it. We are. Who knows? I mean, like I said,
who knows when?
Who knows when and to the extent of the damage. So that's
right.
Like I said, this whole Guitrum thing could really help out people add to their resume in terms of what they can do, so that they're more marketable, so that they can get more gigs, maybe, so that they can become a better musician. Because that's basically the number one mission, right? Is to make
or just expand their
mind. Just have fun. See, to me, it's fun. I love it. Like,
that's good.
It's fun. So.
Well, let me. I've got a fun little thing I like doing at the end. It's just called the shootout round, and I'll just say a word, and you just say a word back, and it's all industry.
Okay, related. Yeah, like boom, boom.
Yeah. So guitar,
drums,
snare,
bass,
kick.
Actually, strum.
Ah, interesting. Crash.
One beat, the beat one on guitar. Yeah.
Full kit.
Guitar.
These are the strangest answers because
I bet you never got any of these.
Never. When you say guitar, somebody's like, Les Paul, or like snare, deep, or so, like they'll just say some characteristic.
Like tone.
You're like saying you're talking about those fiber optics, man.
How they all relate? Yeah, relate.
Strings.
Ooh, I think of tuning and tension.
Cool.
Tuning and tension for sure.
Rhythm.
Rhythm is going to be what do you call it? Bass drum too, because I have to get that.
Right.
Be bass, yeah.
Melody.
Blues.
I like it. Texas.
It's gonna be South Padre Island.
Cool. And the last one, pizza.
Ranch.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can see that. I actually like a good ranch with a pizza. Like you put the buffalo chicken on top with ranch.
Hey, that's good. Okay, pineapple on your pizza or no?
Nah, I can't.
No, all right.
Maybe on the side, So I've got one last question for you, my friend, and thank you, Mike. This has been crazy, man. This has been awesome.
I know, man. Like I said, we're gonna do a lot of content together, and it's gonna be good.
Yeah, and just hang and talk and whatever. So if you could go back in time to your 15-year-old self, knowing what you know now, what would you tell him?
This is the best. This is the best ever. So what I would tell him is two things. One is going to be, don't buy into everything that's fed to you, right? Like there's so much more to life. Right. And what happened, so I got this scar on my face. I don't know if you can see it, but I almost died in a motorcycle accident. That changed everything. So my perspectives, there's so much more. And I would say dig deeper, always seek the truth. Because if you don't seek the truth, you're going to believe other people's truth. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you don't seek for truth, truth will not seek for you. You're going to be, which means you're living a lie. You could be that, and that's the biggest mistake someone can make, is having regret or living with a lie, or not really knowing. See, right now it's so funny with the coronavirus. Everybody's been forced to slow down.
Yes.
You see? So that's another thing I would tell my 15-year-old self. Musically, I'd say, look, practicing, the best thing you could do is to slow down and get it right. So I thought of that quote I was trying to remember. So it's do it wrong, do it long. Do it right, do it light. That's good, man.
I haven't heard it that way before.
Yes, it makes sense. It goes right into what I was saying with practicing wrong. If you're speeding things up, or you're too hurried, or you're too tense, or you're not relaxed, and you're going too fast, guess what? You're gonna do it wrong. You're gonna do it long. You're gonna learn the wrong way, and it's gonna take you a longer time to reverse those habits. So that's what I would say. Those two little things of advice: always dig deeper, research. Don't believe anything you hear. We only get one life. We want to live it as best we can. The one thing that comes in between us living our best life is not having information, knowledge. Knowledge is power, right?
Right.
So the lack of knowledge is lack of power, right? So it's
100%.
one of those things. So
100%.
now I think this whole coronavirus has taught everybody to stay home and really evaluate what matters. I mean, people are so deluded and that's how the elite work. Okay.
Yeah.
They're not the ones clocking in, clocking out. They're the ones hiring people to do that. Right. So these people, they're trading their time for money. The majority of everybody else, right? They're trading their time for money, time they're never going to get back. But they're making money their god, money their idol. So it's controlling, like, all their choices, their life choices, it's always centered around money, right? And wanting more of it. And how could they make it? I mean, since we're kids, what do our parents teach us? Go to school, get good grades so you can go to college, so you can earn a degree, so you could get more money.
Right. It's money and power interchangeable,
Exactly. Money and power. Because you could argue that money is power. Power is money.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. That's what I would say. Slow down and just really, whether it comes to practice, slow down. Okay, right? It's gonna help you with it when it comes to life. Slow down. What really matters, right? What truly matters. Don't just get so caught up in somebody offering you, a big old paycheck that you're miserable. Which goes into the whole thing that Gary Vee, spiels about. Right. So
I saw him berating some kid today on. Did you see the dentist bit?
I haven't seen Gary Vee today or yesterday.
It was this kid. He was like, my parents are. I'm in my third year of dentist school and orthodontic school or whatever. And he was just like, he's just like telling him, do not be a dentist.
He's probably like, fucking quit.
Literally, he's like, do not be a dentist. I will come to your town and I will run you out of business. Yeah, literally, like it's just kind of.
Oh my God,
hilarious.
That's funny. I have a feeling like we're gonna meet Gary Vee. Like all this stuff, like, man, like I said, I have a plan. We're gonna meet people because, like I said, I feel there's something that we both have to bring to the table that other people like Gary Vee could really benefit from, getting out there too.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So we could all work together because, like I said, everybody knows things that other people don't know. So sharing is caring when it comes to information. So.
Well, man, listen, this was just top notch. We just totally hit everything. Like this was everything in an interview.
I record this. This is great.
So man, listen, description box below. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Real quick, just your social media handles, if you want to rattle those off.
It's gonna be Guitrum Hero. So check this out. I wanted to make it easy for everybody at the very beginning. I have Guitrum Hero. I have it everywhere. So I got the domain, guitrumhero.com.
Right.
On Instagram, I'm Guitrum Hero. On Twitter, I'm Guitrum Hero. I got like 3 followers on Twitter. I haven't done much with Twitter.
Twitter's whatever, man.
Yeah, TikTok. I've done okay on TikTok. I just started a couple months ago, and people, I love reading the comments. Go in and read the comments. There's hundreds. You're gonna get a kick out of them. People get creative with comments. So yeah, just Guitrum Hero on YouTube. I have that domain already, so everything's set up. Just Guitrum Hero, and that's it.
Cool. So, well, dude, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, man, for inviting me, for commenting. Like I said, it worked out. Yeah, bro.
And looking forward to, the next one, whatever it is. We'll
we can pick. We can go science. We can go Bible. We can go guitar, drums, drum.
It's great. It's great. The synergy's there. We're on the same wavelength for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys been listening and watching the Jason Damico show. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you on the next one.
All right, guys.
Peace.